Well, good day to you. It is September the 14th, and I hope wherever you are having a wonderful day. My name is Gary Willing. I want to welcome you to Search for Signs, and as I always like to do, I just want to point out to those people who are new, hearing it for the first time, the best thing to do is to read more about this information for yourself. I don't know where you are on the spectrum of hearing this information, whether you're intrigued about it and want to know more, to you're totally frightened about this information and you're very concerned that I'm even talking about it on YouTube. Wherever you are within that spectrum, the best thing to do is to read more about it for yourself. It might actually eliminate some of your fears. It might not. If you're wanting to know more about this information, it will give you good background information for sure, especially if you check out the Share International site, but it might give you an indication of whether it's true or not. And you don't have to take my word for it. So that's why I always encourage you to check out the Share International site. And then right below it, there's a YouTube channel that has an hour-long video of Benjamin Creme talking about this information. All the information on every one of those sites is free. They won't ask you for any personal information in order to access their site or anything. So you can check it out for as long as you want to do it, and then do with it what you want. Okay, so hopefully you'll take advantage of it. Now you want to come back and join the discussion, listen to a video or two, you can do that and not say a word. That's probably more than likely what I would do if I was in your shoes. But if you want to let me know what you think, post a comment. You want to ask me a question, post your question in the comment section, and then I'll try to answer it or address it in the next video. And if you'd rather just email me those comments or questions, you can email me at searchforsigns@mail.com. And I want to thank everybody who's commented and asked a question since the last time I put a video up. And let me start with James. Why does God play favorites and put crosses of light in some people's homes or churches instead of everywhere? Where is the justice when a tiny group of people in El Monte or in Kansas churches get a miracle like crosses of light when we all deserve that in our homes? Do you get me, Gary? Maitreya talks about justice. Where is the justice here? All right, so James, let's start at the top and we'll work our way down, okay? See how far we can go with this. Why does God play favorites and put crosses of light in some people's homes or churches instead of everywhere? Well, first of all, God doesn't do that. It's Maitreya and the Masters of Wisdom who are putting these miracles out there. Why are they doing it in some areas and not others? Couldn't tell you. You'd have to ask them, right? Now, you too can have a miracle in your home as well as like a cross of light. I think it's better than the cross of light, to be honest with you, because you might not have the glass that's required to have a cross of light even appear in it. It has to be that frosted kind of glass. I know for myself, and I'm only speaking about myself because I know my house pretty well, I don't have that type of glass anywhere in my house. So there's no way a cross of light could appear in my house. But that being said, even though I don't have any circles of light or patterns of light on my house that I've seen on other people's homes, even though on my property I don't have any crop patterns or crop circles in my front yard or backyard, even though I can't dig down 50 feet and find a well charged with healing waters in my backyard, and even though I don't have a cross of light in my house, even though none of my Hindu statues ever drank milk that I offered it, I too have had a miracle in my house. And you too can have a miracle in your house too, and it's free. You don't have to go anywhere. You don't have to ask anybody for it. All you have to do is go online and go to the Share International site. Go to the page that has it talks about the hand of Maitreya. It's an image of a handprint on a mirror in Barcelona, Spain. You do not have to fly to Barcelona, Spain every time to get the benefits of this miracle, but you would have to fly to El Monte, California or somewhere else and stand in front of the cross of light in order to get the healing qualities of it. So, if you check out that image of that hand of Maitreya, Maitreya himself has said that is the best way, not the crosses of light, but that is the best way to ask him for help. If you look at that hand, that image of the hand of Maitreya, you don't even have to really believe in it. Just because he didn't say you have to believe in it first in order for it to work. He just said look at it and ask him for his help. Now, you wouldn't do it if you didn't believe it on some level, but if you look at the image of the hand of Maitreya, ask him for help, or just look at it, he said that's the closest that any one of us can get to him before he's out and known for who he is in the world. And all you have to do is download an image of it, a PDF file of it, and it's on the Share International site. You can do that. If you go on your phone and you go to the Share International site, you can take a screenshot of it. It will work the exact same way. I personally have asked the hand of, Maitreya, while looking at the hand of Maitreya. So I've asked him for help, and I've been astounded at the help that I've received. I talk about this from time to time on this channel, but I was cleaning a building at the time, very frustrated and burned out because I was working all these hours on all my jobs, including this one, and just looked at the hand of Maitreya one night and asked him if somebody could help me with the trash on this one side of the building. And he, a few days later, he himself went and got the trash out of this side of the building. I never saw him. I saw the effects of it because the time that those few days that he did take the trash, there was no trash in that side of the building. But it wasn't confirmed to me that he helped me. I didn't even think anything of it until Carol told me that there was somebody helping me from time to time, and that was Maitreya that she was talking about. So the hand of Maitreya will work. And you don't know me, James, but I will tell you this right now. When I read your comment and your questions, and I thought about how I would try to respond and answer it, I truly said to myself, if I had a choice between a crop pattern in my front or backyard, healing waters in my backyard, a cross of light in my window pane, or knowing about the hand of Maitreya, believing in it and using that for help, if I had the choice to any one of those four, and only one of those four, I would pick the hand of Maitreya, because I've seen the effects of it. I've never seen a crop pattern, but I've seen a UFO. I take the healing waters all the time in little pill forms from the Ainsworths Pharmacy. Link is in the description too. You can get the creams. I've felt the benefits of it. It's my joints feel 20 years, younger than they did before I started taking the joints. I could barely walk after all the running I did in my teens and 20s and 30s. I used to run marathons. Got to the point where I had chronic leg pains, and I started putting this cream on my joints and my legs, and it went away. And so I'm not, I've tried putting it on my head to have my hair grow back, and that didn't work. But, but you know what I'm saying? But I don't need that in my house. All I have to do is just go online and buy the pills. You know what I'm saying? They're not that expensive. So why would I need a well water in my house, right? But I was able to freely get an image of the hand of Maitreya, download the PDF file some years ago. I even took the time to buy a frame for it, cut it out and put it in a frame. It sits on my dresser. I use it all the time. And you can too. You don't need to go through an intermediary for it. So there's justice in that. Now, if you look at justice in and of itself, right? Humanity creates the injustice, not these masters and not God. It's humanity. And so looking at it from the miracle standpoint, and then I want to talk about it in terms of the resources and the principle of sharing, because you could also include that in that. These masters put these miracles in areas for certain reasons. I don't know why. You would have to ask them when you see them. But there's a reason why they put it in El Monte, California, and not in Miami. There's a reason why they put it in that particular church in Knoxville, Tennessee, and not one here in Atlanta or somewhere else. And perhaps they had put them in other areas and we never heard about it. I don't know. But I'm just saying there was a reason why they put it in El Monte, California. Now, to get to the one in the church, because I know about this one the best because I had met the pastor and all that kind of thing. The justice in it was he allowed people to come and see it and not just claim it for himself or claim it for his church like his church people wanted. That was the injustice, what humanity did with it. The image of the Madonna on the bank building in Clearwater, Florida, that was for everyone to see. There were people who were not necessarily Catholic, didn't look to the Virgin Mary or pray to the Virgin Mary for everything, that experienced hope from seeing that image on the side of the building. The injustice was some bonehead threw a rock at it and broke part of it, and so you can't experience it anymore. That's the injustice. The masters didn't create the injustice, we did. It's humanity's problem. But had that church decided amongst itself to not let anybody know about this miracle, and Joe Bullard went along with it, yeah, it would be an injustice, but it wouldn't be because of what Maitreya did, they were giving it to everyone. And if you look at it, and if I broaden this discussion out to the resources in the world, because I think it's more important to look at it from that standpoint, I asked Ben one time, years ago, why did God put certain resources in certain areas? And some countries have an exorbitant amount of resources and other ones are poor, very, very poor. Why? Why didn't he just even it out? And you know what his answer was, James? It's because we need to learn how to share. You know what I'm saying? That's why he did it. And every planet in our solar system, the ones that are more advanced than us, Venus, Jupiter, Mars, Saturn, Neptune, Uranus, Vulcan, Mercury, all those ones, there's humanity on every one of our planets, and most of the planets in our system are more advanced than we are here on Earth, and they too had to learn how to share at some point. The only reason why they're able to manifest love as a humanity on those planets is because they learned how to share, and we need to learn how to share too, and eventually we will. That's the good news, right? But the injustice is not coming from God putting an exorbitant amount of resources in North America and hardly any in certain other parts of the world. It's the injustice of imperial countries going over there and exploiting those people for their resources, because they had the military might to do it. That's the injustice of it. The other injustice is when nations like the United States hoard the resources and don't give it to people who need it. That's the injustice. But it was given by God for all of humanity. The injustice comes from the people. And the only thing that will bring about justice is the principle of sharing. So same thing with these miracles. What is unjust in it is not that it's not happening in your house and it happened across the street or down on the other side of the world or whatever. The injustice would be if they don't allow other people to experience that miracle. If they think it's just for Christians or just for Hindus or just for Muslims or whatever. Because the thing about the crosses of light, it was a miracle for the Christians, but it was a miracle for the world. And I was there the times that people, I got there before most everybody started to see these, because I got there early in the morning and stayed pretty much the whole day because I just couldn't get enough of these images of these crosses of light. But as people started to mill in, I started to hear people talking about it. And they're like, whoa, I wonder if this means Jesus is coming back. I heard a couple of people say that. Not one person said, I think this means the Imam Mahdi might be coming back. You know what I'm saying? But there were people who were Muslim that went in there. There were people who were atheists, didn't know what to make of it, were healed in the exact same way. But the beauty in it at the time was that Joe Bullard allowed everybody, didn't matter what your faith was, to see it. Like I said, the injustice would be if, and unfortunately that's what created, that was the injustice, was the group of people decided it was either just for them or they should just destroy the mirror. It was asinine why they did it, I guess. I don't know. Hopefully that addresses your concerns and your questions. Now on to the next one. This is more of a political discussion. I would like to address, if I may, the part of the show dealing with Donald Trump. Now, if you're listening to this, Joshua 12:12, this is how you address something, whether it's political or not. You don't put everything in all caps and start yelling at me. I would like to address, if I may, the part of the show dealing with Donald Trump. I am not a Republican nor a Trump supporter. And I did not and will not vote for him. But the fantastic tactics the present Democratic Party has tried to smear him with are similar to the tactics that party uses to marginalize and smear qualified third-party candidates as well. The failure of the establishment Democrats have long since abandoned their core constituency in favor of straight-up corporatism is wholly responsible for the rise of Trump. In 2021, Bernie Sanders, after he was again cheated out of the Democratic nomination, said that Biden had the chance to be the greatest Democratic president since FDR. In a way, that was true, although at the same time, a wild flight of wishful thinking for anyone who knew Joe Biden's public and legislative record going back to the 70s. Had the Democrats legitimately addressed the repeated voiced concerns of American people, affordable, efficient, quality health care, infrastructure renewal, quality public education, livable wages nationwide, the housing crisis and homelessness, the wide gap between the haves and the have-nots, serious green environmental policies, and so forth, the Dems could have shut the GOP down for decades. Instead, Biden being Biden, gave us a tragic, costly, wasteful, and completely unnecessary proxy war in Ukraine and enable a ghastly genocide in Gaza. This is what the present Democratic Party, in its arrogance and total duopoly, cares at all about the welfare of the American people or the people of the world. Sorry to have gone on such a length here, but relative to the priorities of Maitreya, there's only one presidential candidate who truly shares those priorities, and that is Jill Stein. I invite anyone truly interested to check her out on YouTube or at Jill2024, and compare what she stands for to the inane word salads of Kamala Harris or the same old blather from Trump, who is also a genocide apologist. Well, thank you very much, whoever wrote this. I appreciate your comment. I have to say I agree with pretty much everything you said. If I may address your comment in reference to what I was talking about with Donald Trump. So I am very critical of Donald Trump. I've even said that I think he's being used by the forces of darkness, right? But if you also go back and listen to the things that I said, and you would have to go back to 2020, I was very critical of Biden and I've also been critical of the Democrats, to say the least. Now, my fundamental view on the dual party system in this country and how corrupt it is, I can boil it down to this one statement. Okay, so looking at healthcare or the environment, okay, but let's just stick with healthcare, right? So the Democrats say, if you vote for me, I will give you universal health care, or I'll give you better health care or cheaper health care or whatever like that, right? Because it's necessary. We all need this. And this should be for everybody. You could say the same thing about the environment. If you vote for me, I'm going to do something about climate change or pollution or whatever, right? The lie that they say is that if you vote for me, we will do this. They acknowledge that the problem is real, but if you vote for me, I'll change this. I'll do this. That's the lie, right? The Republicans lie by saying there is no concern. You don't have any. What do you need universal health care for? That's bad. That's communism. That's socialism. That's the lie that they put out. Because they don't have any intention on doing anything with any of that either, right? And the reason is because they're getting money from the same organizations, the same companies. That it is in their best interest to not have, let's say, universal health care. It's in the best interest of the oil companies to not have regulations on them. It's the best interest of the gun lobbies to not have any regulations on them or whatever, right? And they both lie to their people and say, we're going to do something about it if it's the Democrats, and then they never do anything about it. And then but it is a problem. The Republicans lie and say there is a problem and it's not for you, it's not in your best interest to do it. Do you see what I'm saying? So it would be the same thing with corporate bailouts or whatever. The Democrats would say, we're not in agreement with corporate bailouts, but then they'll vote for it anyway. The Republicans say, no, you don't want the money. No, that would be really bad. That will cause hyperinflation. But if we give the same money that we are going to give to you to our corporate donors, well, then that's going to be the best thing for you, the little guy. And they sit there and they lie and they put all this propaganda on the fact that that's the best thing for all of us, is for their billionaire buddies to get corporate tax breaks or to get the money that way. But they're all getting money from the same group, is the way I look at it. Neither of them want to spend less money. The Republicans always say they want to spend less money in government, have less government, and this, that, and the other. But when it comes time to it, they spend the same amount of money, but they just spend it more on military spending or whatever, right? So that's my view on it. I am critical of both. But I do think Donald Trump holds an existential threat to the United States based on who he is, his narcissism, his unwillingness to accept defeat in the face of absolutely no proof that he won the election. And yet he never gives up on it. He keeps saying it over and over, and it's causing a lot of problems. And also, I think that if he is allowed to be elected again, which God forbid, I hope he doesn't, it would be very, very bad. Now, Jill Stein might be the best candidate for Maitreya's priorities, more so than Kamala Harris, right? But the Democrats have done a little bit toward health care, right? We've taken a step in the right direction with Obamacare. It might not be the best system. It might not be the system that Obama even wanted, but we're dealing with a very, very divided country. So to get that passed was a miracle in and of itself, as far as I'm concerned, right? But, you look at, the border. Would Kamala Harris say the only way to solve the immigration problem is to share the resources of the world with the third world? That would stop the migration nearly overnight. Most of those people who are in this country don't want to be in this country anyway. They're only here for a better life for themselves and their family. If they knew they could have that same benefit in their own country, they would go back. We wouldn't have to build a wall. It would build trust amongst the nation. If she came out in the last debate on Tuesday and said this, would she have gained any votes or not? Probably not at this moment in time. It's going to take something extraordinary before people realize that sharing is in their best interest. And that something extraordinary is Maitreya. But no political leader, even if they have the idea of the principle of sharing, will get elected on that principle. I mean, just look at Ben's videos and the views on what Ben talked about in terms of hope for mankind and the sharing of mankind, and look at the views that people have when they talk about gloom and doom. They're two different, the gloom and doom people will get millions upon millions of views. And the videos that the Share National group put up years ago only have tens of thousands of views because people aren't interested in that yet. And Jill Stein might be ahead of her time, but she's not going to get elected in this political environment. It can't happen. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it really just can't happen, and it's sad, but it can't happen. And I'm in favor of not a two-party system, but a 5 or 6 or 7 or 10-party system like they have in most countries. But right now, in this time, in this day and age, this is what we got. Would I vote for Trump over Kamala? Never in a million years would I do that. Even if, and based on the company that I work for, it would be better for me financially if Trump was elected. I'm still not going to vote for him because I think he holds an existential threat for this country. I think he'll put off, any kind of environmental legislation for the next 4 years, and we don't have that kind of time. I'm willing to roll my dice on Kamala Harris that maybe she can do a few things on this, right? Biden, I agree with you. His voting record when he was in the Senate was awful, but so was most Democrats. He even voted, I think, for us to go into Iraq, if I'm not mistaken, twice. Did I agree with that? No. But I'm also able to kind of look past that and go, well, he did a few things while he was president that I agree with. He did more for the environment than I think Trump would have done. But it doesn't mean I'm this huge Biden supporter or a Biden apologist for sure, right? But Trump in and of himself, if you look at the things that he said, and the things that really concern me about Trump is not so much Trump, but it's the following that he has that look to him as a deity. That's what concerns me because of what somebody will do if they truly believe that God is in this person and that if you are speaking out against him, you are evil. It is dangerous what can happen. And that danger is far greater than Donald Trump as far as I'm concerned, because they put him on this pedestal. And if we're not careful, it will be very, very hard to unravel the roots that causes and pull this out and have normal politics in this country. It will be about God versus Satan. And that in and of itself leads to nothing but disaster. If you look at what the churches have done over the last 2,000 years, the churches claimed God. They claim to be the only ones that you can get God in, is the churches. Everything else that's against the churches is evil. And look at all the destruction that's happened, one after the other after the other. And they found a way to do it in American politics. It's frightening, really, to be honest with you, how effective it is to be able to do this. And it will be very, 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 very hard to get those people to see something other than Donald Trump is God, Democrats are Satan. You know what I'm saying? And it will be very hard to get anything done when that's going on in this country. It'll be very, very hard to keep this country together when that's going on in this country. One of my very dear friends from years ago just posted something on her Facebook page. Good versus evil. Donald Trump was good, of course. Of course he's good. Kamala Harris is evil. Why are what the Democrats saying evil? The evil comes from worshiping somebody like Donald Trump, as far as I'm concerned, you know. But both parties are corrupt. I've said that numbers of times. And just because I'm critical of Trump does not mean that if I devoted a video to the Democrats, that I wouldn't be critical of them either. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, I really do appreciate your comments, and thank you for telling me all about this stuff and addressing it and bringing it to everybody else's attention too, because I really do see where you're coming from. I agree with it, actually, to be honest. I love you guys. Thank you very much. You guys have a wonderful rest of your 14th of September, and I look forward to putting up a video in the very near future. Have a wonderful day. Remember to take action and help SOP save our planet. Thanks for listening, and we look forward to talking to you again in future videos.